The Thuggee were an organized network of criminals in India between the 14th and 19th centuries, notorious for ritual murders in the name of the goddess Kali. Unlike ordinary thieves or killers, the thugs formed a pani-structured secret society, with their own codes, rituals, and hierarchy, operating in itinerant groups that traveled along trade routes and rural roads, luring unsuspecting travelers to be killed and robbed. The word thug comes from the Hindi thag, meaning swindler or thief, reflecting the cunning and organized nature of these groups. The thugs became notorious not only for their violence, but also for the ritualistic nature of their crimes. Tied to devotion to Kali, the Hindu goddess of destruction and transformation. Origins and structure. The exact origin of the thugs is difficult to trace, but historical records indicate activity in various regions of India since the 14th century, especially along trade routes. They were predominantly Hindu, but recruited members from different castes, maintaining absolute secrecy about their activities. The organization was hierarchical, with leaders called jemadars, and veteran members training newcomers in murder techniques, body disposal, theft, and disguise. Strict rules of loyalty were enforced, including prohibitions against killing community members or known innocents, limiting their victims to unknown travelers. Practices and rituals. The central practice of the thugs was ritual murder, always performed in the name of Kali. They believed killing travelers was an act of devotion that appeased the goddess and brought blessings to the group. Before an attack, the thugs performed prayers, rituals, and offerings, often wearing religious symbols. The most common method of killing was strangulation with a rumuli, a scarf or cord, considered silent, efficient, and clean, avoiding bloodshed and preserving the ritual character of the act. After death, bodies were buried or disposed of in remote locations, and the victims' belongings were looted. Deception and strategy. Thugs were highly skilled in hot disguise and deception, integrating themselves into groups of travelers to betray them at the right moment. Coordinated attacks by multiple cells increased efficiency and security. Knowledge, techniques, and rules were transmitted orally, ensuring secrecy for generations and making it difficult for authorities to identify and pursue them. Decline. The decline of the thugs began with the expansion of British rule in India during the 18th and 19th centuries. Considered a threat to security and trade, the British launched systematic campaigns to eradicate the organization, starting in 1830. Special police units investigated, captured, and tried members. William Henry Sleeman was a key figure in dismantling the network, using intelligence, infiltrators, and forced confessions. Thousands of thugs were imprisoned or executed, and detailed records of rituals, techniques, and hierarchy were compiled. Cultural and historical impact. Although the thugs were portrayed as fanatical religious killers, modern studies suggest there was also an economic and social motivation. Attacks allowed marginalized groups to survive and access resources in a society with limited mobility. Thus, Thuggee combined religion, crime, and social tradition, creating a complex phenomenon of faith, power, and organized violence. Legacy. The thugs remain a historical example of the ritualized crime, secret society, and religiously justified violence. They influenced popular culture, appearing in books, films, and academic studies as a model of a secretive, apocalyptic, ritualistic criminal group. The study of Thuggee provides insight into how religious beliefs can be distorted to justify violence, how hierarchical groups operate in secrecy, and how societies respond to clandestine threats. Additionally, the Thuggee case serves as a reference in historical terrorism studies, criminology, sociology, and religious anthropology, showing how faith, tradition, and social structure can combine to create resilient criminal networks. The combination of secrecy, ritual, rigid hierarchy, and religious justification made Thuggee a phenomenon that lasted centuries, influencing how colonial governments and later societies dealt with ritualistic organized crime. The thugs formally disappeared by the late 19th century after effective British campaigns and social changes in India, but their legacy remains as one of the most notorious examples of ritualized murder and cult-like devotion to violence in the name of a deity, providing lessons on the boundaries between faith, fanaticism, and criminality. Historically, they demonstrate that secret religious groups can become extremely dangerous when combining apocalyptic doctrine, hierarchical organization, and systematic violence, serving as a warning for scholars and authorities about the risks of violent cults in any era or society.